So let's talk about this question here and give you some background to why they're asking this. I was talking in a video about the regional differences across the United States that people just forget about, right? Living in the Chicagoland area, you forget that there are places where people have flat roofs, as an example, right? You can't have a residential flat roof here in the Chicagoland area because of the snowfall. There are certain industrial roofs that are meant to take it, but here you have pitched roofs so that the snowfall can fall and melt off of it. That's just one example, right? And in the stream of examples that I was talking about, the regional differences, one of the things that I had mentioned was that we forget here in the Midwest about how people in Southern California often have the washer and dryer outside the house instead of inside the house. And this person is just asking about that particular aspect. They said, now when you say washer and dryer out of the house, do you mean in the garage or outside the house? Both. One of the shows that Renee and I used to love watching, it seems like a lifetime ago. I don't even know how fucking long ago it is now. We used to watch House Hunters. I'm sure it's still on in some capacity, but people that were looking for houses, right? And whenever they would show places like, and I don't know if I saw it in places like in Arizona and New Mexico, but definitely in Southern California, the washer and dryer were on the back patio, like outside the house, because they don't have to worry about lines freezing, for example. If we had our washer and dryer outside of our house, they would be inoperable from November to March. The lines would be frozen, you couldn't do it, yada, yada, yada. But watching House Hunters over and over and over again, we kept seeing the same thing, right? We kept seeing, wow, these washer and dryers they're outside on the back patio, usually under an awning or something like that, and people just go outside and do their laundry. And it's just not something that you see in the Midwest or the Northeast or the northern states at all, right? I don't know if it's a thing in other warm southern areas like Florida, Georgia, Alabama, New Orleans, Louisiana, I should say. But for sure, we kept seeing it over and over and over again in Southern California, and it was just one of those things that, as a Chicagoland area resident, kind of fucked with your head a little bit. It was like, wow, man, can you imagine if we had that? But then again, the other regional differences that we were talking about is some places like Southern California, Florida is a big one for this. They don't really have basements a lot. Some do, but for the most part, they don't. Here in the Midwest, basements are fucking everywhere. Like, you're more likely to find a house with a basement than you are to find a house on a slab here in the Midwest. Now, part of the reason is, like in our area specifically, is the basement is where you go to when the tornadoes come through. The basement is where you run and take shelter somewhere in interior in the basement, and if your house gets ripped off its foundation here, then at least you're safe in the basement, so to speak. And I know that in cases like in Florida, a lot of times you can't dig more than 5, 6, 7 feet before you're hitting water. So basements aren't really an option for them. And I have read, and I can't remember what the correlation is, but I've read that basements in Southern California where there are a lot of earthquakes are a no-no because of something that the earthquakes do to the basements. I don't know. But in regards to this particular example, yeah, it was literally washers and dryers outside of the house. Sometimes in a garage, but usually outside, like on the back patio, outside. You go out your sliding back door, and to the left, there's your washer and dryer over there. It's just something that here is it's not a thing.